Welcome to the Agility in Real Life podcast, To Be Named. Now your hosts, Mike Studeman and Jeff Lee.
Welcome to the agilityIRL podcast, which is yet to be named unless it's already been named. We talked about that in the last episode, so we'll move on now. I'm Jeff Lee.
And I'm Mike Studeman. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of our podcast. Jeff, do you mind if I kick it off this week?
Please do, Mike.
So I continue to be amazed at how many times I get the following question, either in coaching or training our clients. That question, Jeff, one of your favorites, is why do I have to prioritize?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't everything be a number one priority? You want to take a shot at that one, my friend?
Yeah, well, a lot of times people start that with the assumption that even if I don't have 30 number one priorities, if I have 7 people on my team, I should be able to be doing 7 things at once and make equal progress on all of them. Couple of issues with that. Number one is you're missing out on this whole benefit of working as a team, right? Fundamentally, the reason that we work in teams is because we believe that we're more effective as teams. Right? We learn from each other. We have conversations. We decrease defects. So many benefits from this human interaction that goes way beyond
transfer knowledge.
Yeah. Oh yeah, get all knowledge silos. Thank you. Yeah, it's way beyond just software development or agile. It's anywhere, and working in the world as teams, we find ourselves better off than working as individuals. If we're trying to do a bunch of things in parallel, we're really encouraging people to work as individuals. The other part of that is the cost of context switching. That's really the big one, right? So if we have somebody who's working on one thing, theoretically, they should be able to spend 100% of their time on that one thing. If we have them working on 2 things, they have 50% of their time on each, but doesn't work that way because of context switching costs. The Weinberg effect, you're losing basically 20% of productivity every time you add something new to your list and getting less and less done. And then we're even if we didn't lose that, the idea is that we're going to deliver everything at some future date and 5 months out, we'll get value. Well, what happens if we just break up those things, prioritize one of them, we get some value in a month and we get more value in 2 months. By the time we get to 5 months, we're getting value all over the place. So I hit on a number of different things there, Mike. What other things do you think about?
Well, I mean, I think just to build on your point, one, because of the context switching, anyone who tells you that everything's a number one priority is essentially saying, hey, I can't figure out the priority, you figure out the priority, and I'll judge whatever decision you make. The other piece that I like about what you're saying, Jeff, and I like a lot of it, is that with this incremental value delivery, you're really giving up options, the ability to pivot. So if you say, well, I everything's a number one priority and I need it by this date, 8, 10, 12 months in advance, and something changes about the environment, and it will change, you've foregone the option to pivot and deliver something to respond to some changing market condition. Mm-hmm. So it amazes me how many times we still fight that battle, though, around everything's a priority. I don't know where we're at on our time. We want to keep these bite-sized, but maybe as we wrap up this episode, any favorite prioritization techniques that you like to train or coach on?
Yeah, so a couple of things that I like to make sure we have before we start prioritizing is not only having estimates of how big the work is, but have estimates on how valuable the work is. So business value points are one way of doing that.
Love it.
There's a number of different ways of doing that, but helping to quantify what is the value of doing this thing, again, done as a group activity, involve your stakeholders, get multiple perspectives on this, and then as a product owner, weigh that with the effort and figure out what to do about it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love business value points. I love Luke Holman's buy a feature, which is really just a derivative of business value points using poker chips or play money. Moscow, must have, should have, could have, won't have, from dynamic systems development method, now business agility. A great technique. I think, regardless of the technique that you use, it comes back to to the start of the conversation around, you have to prioritize. If you don't prioritize, and I don't care whether you're doing Scrum, Waterfall, another Agile framework, if you don't prioritize, it's going to be really, really hard to be good at this difficult game of product development.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Setting that priority, getting people aligned to what the priority is, and using the collective wisdom and knowledge of your entire team to drive toward the outcomes you're trying to achieve.
Well, I'd love to say, Jeff, that we won't talk about prioritization ever again in this podcast series, but given that it keeps coming up, I have a feeling we'll be having multiple episodes on this topic.
Something to look forward to.
That's one way to look at it.
All right. Thanks for joining us again, the Agility IRL podcast, and look forward to seeing you in future episodes.
Thanks, everyone. Don't be afraid to comment below on what you think. Give us some ideas for future episodes. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
The product vision for the Agile Podcast, to be named later, is to provide members of the Agile community with an idea that they can incorporate into their daily lives to make them more effective. We thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.